collaboration can take you far, and a lot of the time the talents here don't understand that. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
Welcome to AudioSwim Podcast, home of the music hustle. And today we got my good friend, my very special guest. We got Mr. MKO, music extraordinary, my bad, art enthusiast, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
event planner, event coordinator, event owner, you know, all of that good stuff, man.
Let me know when you need a raise, bro.
Yeah, you ain't. I'll take my payment in crypto right now, you know what I mean? Nah, but what's going on, brother? How you doing, man?
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been great. Can't lie. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, you've been moving and shaking, man. You got things going on in different parts of the world right now, man. You know, how has it been for you to kind of one, come to Dubai and start your everything you have going on as far as music and art and events, and then take that show on the road? How has that been, that process?
Well, I always the process started with, me being on a 9-to-5 job. Cause I moved here on a job. I've worked for various corporate organizations from, Lawrence Graham, which is a UK-based law firm, Executive Expatriate Relocations, which is where we provide in-house HR solutions for oil and gas industries. I've also worked with PwC, but the beauty of all this was, whilst I had my 9-to-5, I was still sort of pursuing my passion in music and art. Basically anything that had to do with creative exploits.
Okay.
So,
taking in this. Yeah.
So, basically applying my corporate know-how into my music and creativity. So it all started with being able to curve out time for my passion whilst I was also, working on my 9-to-5. It wasn't a smooth and easy sailing journey, but here we are.
Yeah. So, and then what about like the international stuff? Because we'll get into like, everything in a bit, but a lot of times, people will just see you on Instagram and they see the first thing that you post, and they might see you in Rwanda, or they might see you in all of these different countries,
Yeah.
Like, how did you get the understanding that you can't stay in one place and do the same thing, forever? Because you took your show on the road quite early.
Yeah. I mean, Dubai is a beautiful place. What's the population? And, what is the community you've built so far in the UAE? And is it sustainable enough for you to, make something of yourself? Yes, to some extent. But Dubai is just one place. UAE is just one place. So you can only, you are as successful as your network outside of your environment, if that makes sense. Like,
Right.
Dubai is where I live and the opportunities are here. But when I'm outside as well, it's like building my network, tapping into new opportunities and new communities at the end of the day. So I've just, it's similar to, for example, I use an example with someone like Will Smith. For example, a lot of the music he made, movies, exactly. A lot of the movies he makes sometimes doesn't do so well in America, but it does well everywhere else. Globally. And that's because he understood the importance of promoting outside of your comfort zone. And when you promote outside of your comfort zone, you're tapping into new audience and new communities and new, understanding new areas of business as well in the creative space. So it was important for me to just build a network outside of the UAE. And when I get my shows in UAE, I'm grateful for it. But there's only so much Dubai and UAE can do for me.
Right.
So it was important for me to build that international network. I mean, one of my most successful show was in Venice, over 2,000 people, and I was the only performer. So when you're there, you brand yourself properly, you make sure you're sort of aligning yourself with the right community, the right brands as well to create that buzz in those environments. And you do your thing and come back to UAE. And yeah, so it was very much intentional for me to ensure that whilst I'm making my music in the UAE, I'm also building that international presence.
Right. Now that's dope, man. And as far as your journey as an artist, how did you start? Did you start with because you do, different levels of creativity, I'll say, not just the art. But how did you start with music?
Yeah.
And what was the transition like for you to go just from outside of the music space to creative exploitation? There you go. There you go.
In a good way, by the way, because a lot of the time when people think of the term exploitation, it feels like you are, exploiting others, but you're actually exploiting the industry, not people. Like,
right.
You're leveraging off different areas of creative business exploits. Do you get me?
Right.
To answer your question, I started, very young, like most people, singing in church, choir, all of that.
Right.
I was actually a child pastor. You wouldn't believe it or not. Sang in church. I was in a band as well, growing up. And then I wrote, for a few people. One of the singles I wrote for a good friend of mine who is a gospel singer from Mauritius, that did very well as well. So fast forward many years later, I created my own music properly. Started recording, putting out my my singles, and then I guess about 10 years ago when I was releasing some of my singles, I shared a stage with all sorts of people. I guess we'll get to that. But yeah, overall, it's been a journey since I was 12.
Right.
Yeah.
And then from the music space, how did you transition into like the artistic space?
Yeah.
Because for me, like I love art. Like I love visual art. I'm a painter myself. Like I do a lot of abstract. Not a lot. Let me not say a lot. I got paintings all around my crib.
Is your work? You've been on the crib, yeah. I have. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
So,
thank you.
yeah.
But yeah, like, so how has that transition been to go in towards the art space? Because you're still a musician, you still do music, but also you have, other areas that interest you and you pursue those areas from a business standpoint.
Yeah. So, I've lived here for over a decade.
Yeah.
And when I started making music over here, there weren't that many platforms for the underdog.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what led to me creating a platform like Art Fusion Night. Right. And Art Fusion Night was a platform we created to showcase UAE-based creatives. And we started it about 8 years ago. Our first event was, we had a bunch of friends supporting that initiative. So I needed to be, I hate to be a part of a place without contributing to that place.
Mm-hmm.
So Art Fusion Night was my way of giving back to the community, it was a starting point for majority of the, the guys that you might think of.
Yeah.
Without name dropping.
Mm-hmm.
So we, as an artist, most people might want to focus on initiative that only benefits them as a singer, for example, or as a musician. I wanted a platform that benefits everyone, which was art, music, fashion, poetry, comedy. Excuse me, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
Platform where you can showcase all forms of creative art.
Right.
And I felt it was a concept that I knew was going to get replicated. Because the vision was never to run it on a smaller scale. When Dubai is known for when something is working, people want to, latch onto that.
Right.
And that was the vision. It was always meant to be a concept that would be replicated. 8 years ago, I couldn't think of any other platform in the UAE that was showcasing all forms of creative art in one night. From your music, art, fashion, poetry, comedy, and the list goes on. And it was almost like a creative hub for everyone to come together and network. You have been a part of it.
Yeah.
So if we were to, you can mention from your even some of the guys who have left the UAE, from your Pingsbrook to your Menon, for example.
Yeah.
All these guys have been part of the community.
Right.
So that was the vision behind it. A platform where everyone can showcase their creative art and we can all come together and learn from one another. So over the years, as the platform grew, and I could see some of the people who have been part of the initiative create their own version of Art Fusion Night. And now I could see that, yes, the vision is coming to light.
Right.
And it was now time to sort of properly monetize it.
Right.
Because I was funding it from my corporate job.
Right. Yeah. So your own pocket.
Yeah, from my own pocket.
Yep,
exactly. Yep. So whatever was coming to me, I was funding the initiative just so we can all grow. And when we got to a point where I was like, it's taking too much of my time, the I guess the creative aspect of it, like for it to be a hub or a ripple effect that it was meant to be, now that it's there and everyone is sort of emulating that, and there is sort of like a scene almost for the creative scene, for the creative community.
Right.
I had to now make sure that our Fusion Night is as much as it is still for the underdog, we have now fully established ourselves as a place where brands could potentially, reach a new audience.
Right.
Artists who are established and those who are up and coming can still be a part of the same community. We can fly in artists and creatives from different parts of the world to be part of the local scene. So that's pretty much what motivated me into setting up Art Fusion Night, a platform where all forms of creative art can be showcased. The underdog can be on a pedestal, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Nah, that's dope, man. And it's really important that people who watching this like really understand the importance of not being selfish when it comes to this stuff, because the only way to really build a community, whether it's putting on events or working with other artists, is collaboration.
Yeah.
Right. Collaboration is a key core concept to any movement that kind of starts. Right. You need more than just yourself to create a movement, and you were an early adapter of that.
Just without sorry for the intrusion.
No, you're good.
When you look at collaboration, a lot of people don't understand what collaboration means.
Yeah.
Collaboration basically means I have my audience, you have yours.
Right.
When we come together and create something, we both tap into
our
audience, right? Dubai is a place where I've seen a lot of what you call them, big fish in a small pond.
Yeah.
Or small fish.
Yep.
In a big pond.
Right.
An industry can never grow when the community, the creative community are not working together.
Exactly.
For the benefits of the industry.
Yeah.
Do you get me? I know some of the artists that I've collaborated with. They'll know where. Look, if I'm allowed to brag myself.
Yeah. Go ahead, man. Talk your talk, bro. This is your time.
Near where I'm at or where I'm headed.
Right.
But because I know when I started, if I had that same platform, I would be somewhere else in my career. I stopped performing at Art Fusion Night 4 years ago. Because I felt it's no longer for me.
Right.
It's now a place for everyone else to be a part of, and we put out a budget for them. Do you get me?
Right.
And now we have, so I'll use someone like Arkham, for example.
Yeah.
The first time he performed at Art Fusion Night, even though he is who he is, he left that day with a whole community of people who were blown away by the level of, his talent.
Right.
Right? So that's a whole new community that have now discovered how amazing you are as a talent. And one of the drummers or backup singers that he works with are people that he met through Art Fusion.
Right.
Zaruni, for example, the Emirati singer, his first ever live performance in the UAE was Art Fusion Night. Today he's done so many amazing things. Waleed Shah, for example, from Abu Dhabi, he showcased at Art Fusion. Like, I'm dropping these names because when I go back and look at the journey of Art Fusion, like, and I see the growth of some of these amazing, incredible talent, it just shows you how much work that may have been put into this initiative back then to where it is, right?
Yeah.
So collaboration can take you far.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the time, the talents here don't understand that.
Yeah.
That they don't understand that. So I'm glad that you touched on, you brought that up.
Yeah. No, I mean, you 100% right, man. You have been you have been there for a lot of artists' careers, whether they're in the start, to be, the middle, or towards the end of their career. You've been a person that gave people platforms to kind of like show, even for me, even for like people like myself, you know what I mean? And giving me an opportunity to kind of like network, you know what I mean, within the network that exists, from Art Fusion, like, so thank you, bro. Thank you.
I appreciate that, but truthfully, this is not, I mean, it was only, I think 2 years ago or 3 years ago that I started associating my face with the brand.
Yeah.
Most people didn't know
you were behind it. Yeah.
Was my baby.
Right.
I think also because of a lot of travels and just being behind the scenes, because Art Fusion Night was never for me.
Yeah.
Never. It was for the community. So when I'm glad you said what you said in terms of, collaboration and being given a platform, but you've also given other people a platform through Art Fusion Night.
Yeah.
Because you've come to me and say, MKO, I know this artist.
Yeah.
He or she needs this platform to connect with
the audience,
the audience and all of that. So that's what it represents, really.
Yeah, because not just for people that's in front of the cameras, for people that's behind the camera as well. You gave a lot of opportunities for people who make custom food, and you know what I mean. So it happens, like a lot, man. So I'm sure the community appreciates that and everything that you bring. And if they don't, I'm here on behalf of the music community to say thank you for the opportunity that was given. Going back into your journey as a as a creator in itself, man, as you work in corporate, and then you have your passions and things that you want to kind of you want to focus on. When did you know enough was enough with corporate, and you need to focus on this part of your life?
Yeah. Timing is everything, right? When I knew enough is enough, I wish I took that leap at that time. Because somehow there is a conviction in you that tells you you've had enough of this. It's time for you to move and take it to the next chapter.
Right.
One of the biggest shows I've done was in Seychelles, 6,000 people, small island. Amazing opportunity. There were times when I got certain opportunities as well to perform, but I couldn't get time off work. Right? One of my best mates' wedding, I was his best man. I couldn't get time off work. Not to discredit the people I worked with, but sometimes when you are when you have certain responsibilities at work, it's hard for them to let you go. And you know it as well, that you just leave. So with Art Fusion Night, thanks to the UAE government and some of the corporate organizations that have worked with us, we had a festival that was sponsored by without having to drop names. And it was such a massive one for me, and I couldn't focus on that with work and travels. So I had no choice but to quit, because I needed to give that 1,000%. And also my music was starting to do amazingly well. I had just released my album, Diverse.
Yeah, dope album, by the way. Yeah.
Thank you. And I was meant to go on a tour. I had a show in Lebanon already booked, in Bahrain already booked, in Nairobi already booked, in Nigeria already booked, and a few other places. Some of them, they've made advance payment. So when I released the album, I had the plan all laid out. So I quit. My boss wouldn't let me go in, good way. And we had that festival on the Point. Amazing.
Yeah, that was dope vibe.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and there were billboards on the Palm everywhere about, what we wanted to do. Not long after that, I had a show at One Oak. 2 days later, we went on lockdown.
Yeah.
For COVID. Everyone has similar problem, the story. So it wasn't long after I quit my job that COVID hit. So that's why I said timing is everything. If we had seen that there was a pandemic coming, I would have sort of perhaps hold off on that and then maybe resign afterwards. But it opened up a whole new opportunity for me, because at this point now I'm thinking I can't travel for work. I don't have my 9 to 5. Obviously, I got a good payout, and I had this festival that we've just finished. What next?
Right.
Then I had to come up with a way of working with brands, and that's when I started working with a bunch of brands, applying the same initiative of promoting other things I do on myself, and then MKO became the brand that everyone needed to sponsor. So to answer your question, when I knew it was time to leave, I didn't leave at that time. I wish I did, but who knows what would have happened. So I think when I made the call, in a way, it was the right time, because it opened up my mind to other new horizons, really.
Right. Now, COVID, did that bring out a different level of creativity for you?
It brought out a whole different level of business approach. A different level of creativity. I would say whatever talent that I explored during COVID was always there. I just needed the time to tap into that Right. If it meant working with brands, if it meant organizing virtual events, if it meant getting paid to speak at a seminar, for example, all of these things I did in my corporate days. Right. So in a way, I had to sort of look for a way of turning that into an opportunity for me as an artist. So COVID, yes, definitely more business opportunities than, I guess, creative opportunities, if that makes sense.
Yeah, as somebody who's like a seasoned in the whole business aspect of things and the creative aspect of things, how important is to make sure that your creativity is tied into business, like real business, and not just like, the music business, you know what I mean? Like, how important is that tie-in?
When you're going into, music or whatever industry you're going into, you have to see yourself first as the brand.
Yep.
There are times when people show up, but they show up for you, not for what you create.
Right.
So you have to be intentional about building a personal
brand.
Yep. Leverage off social currency, for example, because your community is your social currency.
100%.
Right? And that is your first step into understanding what, I guess, business is as a creative. Then when you start putting out your music, the first people who would show up are those community that you have built for yourself. And then you can then convert that social currency into physical, currency. So it is important to sort of blend both. There are so many artists that they don't do so well. Their streaming don't do so well, but they built such an amazing personal brand. They have such incredible personality that people just show up because of the personality that they built and the genuine connections that they've built. I'm this guy that I would walk into a room, someone who don't know me would probably, snub me or whatever, but I would walk in and I'll say hi to everyone, or I'll walk into a place and I'll make sure you don't forget me.
Right.
Because in that moment, I'm not coming as I'm MKO. I'm coming as a human being. And that is something that you would always take away, from that moment. And if anyone tells you this guy has something going on, people will show up. You
Right.
to my shows.
Yeah.
Several.
You got listen. You sell out, bro.
So
Yeah.
you saw my concert at Toda,
Mhm.
like, and other places that I do what I do. So I try to make sure my community see me, and I try to make sure I let them know that I also see them and I appreciate what they do, and that can be transformed into business.
Yeah.
And you should know where to draw the line as well,
Mm-hmm.
because there are times when people take advantage of who you are, your presence. There are people who actually take advantage of your brand,
Mm-hmm.
because they would sometimes link your brand to what they want to do. You need to be able to differentiate between if this is benefiting your brand, first of all. It's great for you to connect as on the human level, but you've built something for yourself. That is that name. And you have to be able to learn when to detach and when to attach and what you attach it to.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Nah, 100%, man. A lot of it has to do with the community and the network that you're kind of that you're building. Yeah. And as far as networking, man, I find you like our master networker, man. Every time I see you, bro, like it's like somebody new that's from a different industry that you don't even think about. I'm just like, yo, how did MKO connect with, like, this pilot, you know what I mean? Or whatever. Like, like you are, how important is networking in what it is that you do?
Bro, a network is a network.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Some of the brands I'm working with today, I probably reached out to them 4 or 5 years ago and they turned me down.
Yeah.
But you just have to stay consistent and be your face and keep working on yourself. And sometimes you go to an event and the CEO is there or the head of marketing is there. But again, are you going there to enjoy the free champagne and the canapé, or are you going there to actually build a genuine relationship with people?
Right.
Right. So I don't just go out. That's why people don't see me everywhere, because you can be everywhere and nowhere at the same time.
Exactly.
So you have to be able to pick and choose where you find yourself and how much that time you invest into that circle, how you can convert that.
Right.
So networking is important, and I don't want to go somewhere and meet everyone. I just want to meet 2 people. That's always the goal. If it's more than 2, that's great. When I go somewhere, I want to meet someone. I want to build a meaningful personal connection on the spot. And if you're the only person I talk to, that whole event, I'm okay with that.
Right. That's success for you.
That's success for me, rather than being somewhere and you're talking to everyone and no one at the same time.
Right.
So networking for me is very important in any industry.
Right.
You have no idea. Like, I go to events which I'm hosting and people don't even know it's my event. And I'm just there in the crowd, just meeting everyone else, just like you.
Yeah.
And we sometimes strategically invite specific people that we want to meet at these events. So networking goes a long way. I can assure you, you're here probably because you connected with someone somewhere.
Yeah, for sure. The network is definitely the the net worth, as you say, and then as far as branding, right, and making sure that you're collaborating with the right brands, do you think that branding has been very important for you as a person, like dealing with different brands?
It's been very important for me. It's dealing with different brands and the right brands as well.
Yeah.
There are brands who come and offer you merch.
Yeah. I hate that. Brands, listen, we want to work with you, man, but it's not too much that we can do with a t-shirt or shoes and all of that. Like, it's great. We appreciate it, but come on, y'all. We in Dubai. Y'all got budget.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're offering me merch, what is it?
Yeah.
How does that add value to me?
Right.
Without having to mention any brand, I remembered after my album launch, there were certain brands I worked with, and I made sure that everyone got merch from specific brands, right? So when you're able to make sure everyone on your team and everyone who worked on the project got something, when you convert the I guess the amount or what that merch cost,
Right.
it can add value, right?
Yeah.
But just for that specific project. But for me, I had other demands as well that I felt. So if they couldn't meet those demands, then they make up for it with merch or other things. I do not do merch collaborations.
Yeah.
It's not worth my time. But if you're bringing that and attaching it to something else, then we can have a conversation. So, and when you have events like Art Fusion that is already costing you so much money, you can only make money out of it when brands are supporting you financially, or perhaps providing certain things that you would have had to spend money on.
Right.
You get
in kind.
The ink. Yeah, you could say in kind, or you could say batter. Right. Because you're giving me something that I need, and I'm giving you something else that I probably would have had to spend money on. So yeah, it's important to have brands support you at the end of the day.
Yeah. Now, I just have one last question for you, man. If somebody was just to start, right, they just wanted to get into the music business and, whatever fashion that may be, whether it's producer, singer, rapper, whatever, what advice would you give them?
Okay. I like to start every question with almost like a story.
Yeah.
Because it's from my personal experience.
Yeah.
One of the most expensive music videos I've ever shot in my life was one of the worst mistakes I've ever made. And that video was the cheapest video as well. Why? I shot the video on an island that would have cost perhaps 60,000 dirhams. But because of my relationship with the people who own the island, I'm not going to tell you what I got it for.
Yeah.
Do you get me?
Right.
Now, when I shot that music video and it was time to promote it, you can't tell anyone that you don't own a mansion on the Palm if you could book out an entire island to shoot your own music video.
Right.
But how do you go about explaining to them that this is based on relationships that I've built?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I got this venue to shoot my music video. So sometimes just because something looks glamorous and it looks prestigious and expensive, it might not really be what you need at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get me? If Burna Boy was shooting a music video on that island right now, he can afford it.
Right.
At that time, I couldn't. Now, if I had shot that video, I can afford it on that island. That time, I was using relationship. So you're promoting yourself as the underdog, but as an underdog with bags.
Right. Yeah. It's important, man.
Do you get me? It doesn't it doesn't work like that.
Right.
You're promoting yourself as an artist with bags. You have to follow up with it and make sure whoever you're reaching out to promote, you're putting money in their pocket.
Yeah.
If you're not putting money in their pocket, your material does not match what you are trying to sell.
Facts.
Do you get me?
Facts.
So as an up and coming, you need to identify with who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Who are your target audience? Do you want to come out as the underdog, or do you want to come out as I'm a big
man?
I'm a big man. And if that's how you want to do it, follow through with the brand and be true to yourself.
Right.
Secondly, personal branding goes a long way. If you want to come out and just wear the hat of ego all over you, make sure you have enough material to match with that. You can't come out and claim and be walking on water when you're not there. You're not there yet. So personal branding, very important. Humiliation is very important. Understand who you are as a creative. Understand who your target audience are and build a community. These are my 5 advice to anyone who is coming out. Build a community. If you're in university, take advantage of your schoolmates. Have university shows. If you're in high school, do the same. And whatever it is, the first people, your first consumer are the network you have or you have built. and make sure you keep them close. The same people who showed up to my first music video are still coming to my events today. And this was 10 years ago.
True. Yeah, man.
Do you get me?
Nah, that's real, man. That's super real, bro.
Yeah.
Well, look, man, I appreciate you coming on the show, man. AudioSwim Podcast, home of the music hustle. Make sure that you record your next session here at On Air Podcast Studios. Record your next hit song here again at Wave Sound Studio. My name Berto. We got my man MKO in the building.
Prop.
And we out.
Thank you, man.